guys, how's it going? It's Win, and today I've got another look at the Dark Goblin. I'll post a link in the description for a video I made last night when this card came out after midnight. Played around, had a good combination with a Tornado. I thought it was a fun little deck, and I got some gameplay of that if you want to see it. But for this video, we're going to focus on Graveyard and the Freeze spell with the Dark Goblin kind of combined. And if you think about the Dark Goblin actually as like a small Royal Giant, it has a lot less health, but if you can protect it, it's going to do a ton of damage. So if we take a look at it, even below tournament standard, because I only have level 6 right now, I haven't gotten the chance to get it to level 7 yet, but at level 6, the damage per second is 120. And if you look at the Royal Giant, the damage per second is only 102, and this is level 10 Royal Giant, so this is even above tournament standard. So I think Royal Giant at tournament standard, the DPS is only like 93, I want to say. So the reason I'm comparing these two cards is because if you look at their range, they're both 6.5, so they can shoot cards, or they can shoot like buildings or things like that from your side of the bridge. Basically, if someone puts a furnace up top, they can actually take it out without even leaving your side of the map. And that's why I'm kind of comparing these two cards, because it's the only other card that can outrange an Inferno Tower. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump into some replays that I have and show you how powerful this deck is. And as I mentioned before, you want to protect that Dark Goblin because he is very weak and 3 shots is going to kill him. But if you can protect him, let's say with the Graveyard, if you have the tower actually shooting at the little skeletons instead of the Dark Goblin, you're going to get a huge amount of damage. And just remember, every second that goes by is another 120 damage to that tower. So let's jump in and see some of these replays that I shared. So let's watch this first one. This guy is going to be running Giant and Mega Minion and Minions, kind of like just a regular Giant push. He does have those 2 aerial cards, so he's going to be a little bit of trouble, but the Dark Goblin you're going to see is going to be able to clean that up pretty well, in my opinion. So we're both going to sit at full elixir here just for a second, trying to, wait for the other person to go. So he's going to go Mega Minion, and I don't really have a response to that. I could go Dark Goblin, but the Dark Goblin runs so fast that I was afraid he would get all the way over to the other side of the bridge before I could get a chance to, combo him with something. So here on defense, I'm going to put that Ice Golem down to kind of block those minions in the back while I can kill that Giant. And then just basically finish it off with that Tombstone. And not really a lot of damage done to either side so far. We're still just trying to figure out, what the heck is going on with the other person's deck. I still, myself, haven't really, I think at this point, figured out what he's doing. And he's also got Skeleton Army, so I'm kind of glad he used that in the beginning. That could have been a really good counter for my Graveyard, but he doesn't know I have that yet. So I've been kind of holding that in my hand. We're almost halfway done with this game already. And now I bring out that Graveyard, and I've got the Freeze spell, and I think it was a good combination here with that those minions coming in late, so they can come in and actually kill some of those goblins, which is really good. And you see, I do get him down to 1,800 hit points on that tower, so that was a pretty good combination. Didn't do as much damage as I would have hoped, but I think I'm in a pretty good spot here, especially getting some good elixir trades here. I keep shutting him down with this Ice Golem, so his Mega Minion's only going to get 1 hit off, and it looks like I'm slightly ahead in elixir right now, so to rotate back around, because this deck is fairly cheap. I think it's 3.1 elixir for this deck. So when we get into double elixir, you're going to see it's going to go pretty fast. But I see he burns his Giant, so he wasted some elixir on that Giant. So if I can split him, as I just did right here, he goes Mega Minion, and he goes Skeleton Army. And my Zap spell is really good there, because it's going to take out those goblins and the rest of those skeletons that he was trying to use on defense. So here you see, because he didn't support that Giant, I was able to take it out, and the Dark Goblin's going to just wipe away the rest of his troops. So now, with that counter push, Dark Goblin is great for counter push because his range is so large. He can easily shoot and then immediately turn back on offense. So you see, we took that tower, still in pretty good standing here for defense. He's only gotten us down to 1,600 on that right side, and he's got Minion Horde here too, so Ice Golem's going to take care of that. While they're slowed down, my tower's just going to shoot them away, and I try to get a quick attack in here on that right tower with that freeze spell, freezing both the towers and the Skeleton Army. There's so many skeletons, but I just couldn't get it done before time was over. But that's the first replay. Thought it was a pretty good one. Nice, kind of classic giant deck. I was happy because I'm getting really frustrated with how many Hog and how many Elite Barbarian decks there are. It's getting really annoying. Trying to keep the same cards, Ice Golem, Skeleton Army, Tombstone, in my deck because I have to keep playing against these same cards. So here you see this replay is actually a guy who is running Hog and Elite Barbarians. So I think this is going to show how I can shut that down with this deck. So he misses my skeletons with that zap, which is pretty crucial because you need those skeletons to kill that Hog because he's going to get a lot of damage, if you don't do that. So here you see a lot of skeletons get a lot of damage on that tower, but his Ice Golem does shut them down. I think the range of the Ice Golem when it dies in like the slowdown range is pretty big. So he does take out those skeletons, and I don't want this Musketeer to get any damage on my tower, so I'm just going to throw up some minions to stop that, which is it's still a fair trade. Musketeer costs 4, minions cost 3, so I actually gain like 1 elixir on that trade basically. Instead of just letting that Musketeer shoot my tower completely. But here he comes from way downtown, starting that Hog deep in the back, and he's going to go Elite Barbs and Hog in the same push, which is actually a very good push. But you see just enough skeletons there to shut it down completely. And again, here comes that Dart Goblin, transitioning from defense to offense. And I'm going to actually go Graveyard on the left here. I was hoping he would bite and kind of take the bait for that push on the right, but I forgot he had Ice Golem, so that's going to really take out that push. Only a few skeletons are going to get some hits off, and I'm going to tell him well played because he really shut down my Graveyard well there. And now he actually has, I think, a 1 elixir advantage on me, and he's got his Hog and his Elite Barbarians both in his hand, so when he sees me put that Tombstone down, he probably decided to go with the Musketeer instead because he knows I can shut down his push pretty effectively. So he's going to try to build it up with a Musketeer this time and really stop those skeletons. So I'm going to have to go Dart Goblin again, Skeleton Army again to stop him. But this time, because he decided to go Musketeer, I had to use my freeze and I had to use my minions there. So with time whittling down here, I decide I'm going to have to really try to take this tower that's left with only like 300 hit points. So I've had a few games that have been losses because I just couldn't get back over and take their tower and only had 40 or 50 hit points, and that's really frustrating. So I wanted to avoid that situation, and here things are looking pretty good. Only 20 seconds left, so he's gonna go Elite Barbarians again. I'm gonna have to go Skeleton Army and Ice Golem. That's like kind of the regular procedure for Elite Barbarians, I guess. Is the Skeleton Army and Ice Golem shuts them down pretty well, even if they have Zap. It's a pretty fair trade because Elite Barbs cost 6, and Ice Golem and Skeleton Army is going to cost only 5. And if they use their Zap, then that increases their cost up to 8. So that gives me enough room to then maybe put a Tombstone down. And then at the end of the day, it's 8 for 8, equal trade. Not bad at all. So another 1-0 victory. Now this replay at the end, this one's actually very interesting because the whole time I played this guy, I thought he was just absolutely terrible at this game. I didn't like not to say anything bad about him, but the plays he were making were like kind of unusual. Like he would just go Miner, and then I'd be like, oh, like what's he gonna do with that? So you see, I had my minions queued up because I'm thinking, okay, maybe Graveyard, I don't know, but that was it. He just went Miner, so I was like, okay. So I got basically a free like 3 elixir out of that. So you see, I'm up in elixir right now. And I have a Dart Goblin down. And I've got minions down. So I'm going to get a really good Graveyard push here. And he's going to go Bomb Tower too. So I'm like, okay, that's not looking like the most effective defense in the world. So with the freeze spell, I'm going to manage to get, I think, just 5 or 6 skeletons left over. But with the freeze spell, they're going to take that all the way down to 189 hit points. So I'm like, alright, I think I got this guy beat pretty well. And when I see he puts down Prince, I know that I can shut that down really easily. I've got Tombstone and I've got Skeleton Army. I probably didn't even need to use that Skeleton Army, to be honest, because just 3 or 4 skeletons can kill a Prince because he attacks so slowly that everything, the little skeletons and the arena tower is going to take him out pretty effectively. But he went Bomb Tower there to shut down that huge mass of skeletons I had. So really well played on his part. But that bomb tower isn't going to do much because I do have the freeze spell. So even with my Ice Golem down here, I am up by like 1 elixir. So he's going to go Miner again. So I kind of figure, alright, is he going to do something this time with it? So I go Minions, but he doesn't do anything, and he goes Arrows again. So he's kind of chipping me down on the left side, but it's not really being that effective. But as we go to double elixir, you see he is gonna ramp it up a little bit. He does have that minion horde sitting in his hand, and he hasn't played it at all yet. I had no idea he had minion horde. I've just seen, you know, bomb tower, miner, and prince, and cards of that nature, but I haven't gotten the chance to play against his minion horde. So he's gonna whip that out pretty soon, and you're gonna see the tables are gonna turn, and it's gonna be a lot closer than I thought. So here I go graveyard, and I'm like, oh crap, he has a minion horde now. And he goes Barbarians, so now I see why he has Miner. Because all of a sudden, this Miner pushing in the back, I'm like, oh crap. And Prince, I'm literally saying to myself as I'm playing this right now, I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way I'm going to lose to this guy. I had such a big lead in the beginning. So he's going to get in with the Barbarians and these Minions and another Minion Horde. So I don't really know what to do, so I just freeze on defense to buy myself a little bit of time to fit that Ice Golem in there, which seems to pay off because I distract his Prince, I take out the Miner, the Minion Horde's now gone, so now I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot now because he had an insane push that he managed to get put together there, but it just kind of just went away, I guess, because free spell was really good. So again, Minion Horde, he's starting to use that a lot more now. He might be a kind of deck that like waits till double elixir, and that's why it's getting such good pushes right now. But now I know, since he has Minion Horde, I can stop it pretty effectively with Ice Golem and with Zap. And my Dark Goblin has such a big range that he's going to actually come back and take out that Miner. So here I go on offense now with just a regular Graveyard Freeze. That's going to work just enough to get that tower down where I can zap it away. So that's game over. But that game was a lot closer than I wanted it to be. Towards the end, he really got in there with some Minions and Prince and Barbs and just all kinds of stuff. And of course, for this deck to be pretty cheap, I'm not going to run Fireball. So Freeze is going to be my big spell. So I'm going to really need that on offense. And you saw I did use it a couple times on defense. But all in all, I think this deck is pretty fun. It is very powerful. Like I mentioned before, the Dark Goblin is a lot like the Royal Giant. So if you can keep him protected, you're going to get the same kind of DPS as a Royal Giant just from a little Dark Goblin. So it is pretty cheap. Just 5, 4, and 3, those 3 cards together, Graveyard and Freeze, and the Dark Goblin. So that's only going to be, what, 12? So in double elixir, it's very, very feasible, especially if you start an Ice Golem maybe deep in your end. If you start an Ice Golem, let him walk up, and as soon as he crosses the bridge and the tower starts shooting at him, throw down the Graveyard, put the Dark Goblin behind, and then wait for your opponent to then try to counter it, and that's when you hit them with the freeze, and it can be very powerful. And you saw in one of the replays too, the minions come in, and as they trail that Graveyard, and you freeze, you know, like in the one replay we had goblins that were frozen, the minions came in and actually killed those goblins, because the hard part about freeze spell is once everything thaws out, you then, like, you didn't do any damage to those troops, so now you have a huge push that you're faced against, and you need to be able to suppress that somehow. So killing whatever is in that freeze spell while it's frozen is crucial. So minions can really play a good part in doing that. And of course, Skeleton Army and Tombstone on defense is a huge part about stopping the elite barbarians and stopping hogs. So pretty fun deck, 3.1, fairly cheap for how powerful it is with the Graveyard in there and the freeze spell, both, you know, 2 somewhat expensive cards compared to the rest. So anyway, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this deck, and if you tried it out, leave me a comment and let me know how you're liking it so far. And like I said before, I'll put a link in the description to some more Dark Goblin gameplay from last night. And I guess that's it for this video, so as always, I will see you next time.